Hello YouTube, this is Marshall Curtis doing part 3 of my series of videos of this, trying to salvage this Riccar vacuum that I salvaged yesterday from a dumpster, and I found it all apart like this. Well, first, the good news is I cleaned this brush bar up and got it to spinning freely. Cleaned this up. This will have to be replaced because it's been stretched, but at least it's not broken. At least I'll be able to determine whether or not how well it cleans. By the way, this is the model. Forget what the model number is. Well, I'll get to that later. And I managed to get the bag off, dry it out, and get all of the dust, or almost all of the dust out of there. And the best news of it all is by putting my how did I do? Oh yeah, I put my hair dryer yesterday. I used my hair dryer to dry it up yesterday and put it right up to there, but I pulled on the cool setting on my hair dryer so as not to melt this white color here. Once that's melted, this bag's no good. But anyway, what it did is it inflated the bag, and once inflated, I was able to determine whether there are any leaks in it. So it's dirty, but I believe it does not leak. So even if it did, if I determined it was otherwise good, I'll replace the bag if necessary, as well as the belt. Okay, so these parts are, for the time being anyway, salvageable, at least for determination purposes of determining whether I can salvage this or not. And the last bit of good news is I found out as of a few minutes ago the motor was still good. And the reason why apparently the previous owner gave up on it is this has a little trip switch on, overheat trip switch on here. It says 5 amp, and it was in the tripped position because the first time I plugged it in, oh, by the way, forgot to say, I dried it out over the last 24 hours before I started plugging it in. But that wasn't the problem. It was dry out enough. But if you ever try to work on a vacuum, never ever plug it in and turn it on while the motor is not installed in the vacuum, or at least held down with a C-clamp. I thought I could hold it down. I didn't want it dancing around on the table, so I saw that coming. But it frightened me when it came on all of a sudden and danced around the table. And here's the bad news. Well, these two wires are disconnected here. They were held together with another one of these crimps. But the bad news is this was breached, and well, all three of these are breached and got caught and wound up around this and tripped my circuit breaker. Fortunately, I don't think the motor was burnt out though, because I did not see any smoke. So I think it's on this circuit, and I have my entire condo GFCI'd. Reason I'm on the bottom floor of a 3-floor building, and on 2 different occasions water came leaking down from both upstairs apartments, which is why I got GFCI'd throughout the entire condo, and maybe it's a good thing I did. That was the plug, by the way. I had it plugged in because by having it plugged into the GFCI, it disconnected immediately, not allowing the motor enough time to burn out. So now I'm going to have to replace these wires, maybe just temporarily fix them with this red electrical tape just to determine whether or not the motor, make absolutely sure the motor is not destroyed. But upon determining that the motor is still good, I should replace all 3 of those wires. Anyway, that's enough for part 3. I'm in a bit of a funk right now. But if you ever work on a vacuum motor, learn from my mistake. Put it all together first, or at least hold down the motor with a C-clamp. And have it C-clamped on a plastic part, not on a metal part. Okay, signing out.